Hey guys, Huzzy bringing you another video. Now, welcome back to a patch note breakdown. And if I can do this correctly, this should be today's second video. So you'll be watching this, and then tomorrow the patch goes live, so you'll know all the information beforehand. Right, so what am I expecting? Predictions. I haven't really looked too much into what we were expecting. I would hope generic, well, damage nerfs. I think there's too much damage in the game. I think that's clear. So maybe just damage nerfs. Specific champions were Jhin, Misfortune, really the any champ, Graves, the champions that uses Eclipse and Collector. Maybe those items specifically also will be nerfed. But other than that, I'm not really sure. But we'll see how it goes. So we've made it through the storm and landed on the last patch of the year. So this is the last patch of 2020. Get your reading glasses and Santa hats on because we've got a list of changes. And yeah, so we'll just see what it is. So before we anything, I download these just to make it big. This is the patch in a nutshell. So we got nerfs to Annie, Fizz, Jhin, Kale, Kane, Morgana, and Samira. I'd say all are pretty good to nerf. There are a few champions there I think I'm missing, but that's fine. That's still a considerable amount of them. And buffs. Why is Echo in that list? I'd actually, you know, the funny thing, I actually was about to say, some champions I think that are missing in the nerfs, one of them is being Echo, and then I see him in the buff bit, okay? Sometimes it is weird what the Riot Balance team do. We got Anivia. That is a mini rework that I'm interested in personally. Echo, for some reason. Gragas, Irelia, Ivan, Karthus, Lee Sin, Lulu, Mordekaiser, Nasus, Nidalee, Pantheon, Seraphine, Talia, Twitch, Yasuo, and Yone. Obviously, also, we have the new champion Rel joining the ranks of League of Legends with the Battle Queen skin line, and we also have some Elderwood skins too. The prestige of this patch, by the way, is Battle Queen Diana Prestige. We have item changes, that we have support item buffs, we have crit item buffs, mana mythics buffs, and we've got ranged lethality mythics have been nerfed, so specifically ranged champions are being nerfed from Eclipse and Drakthar, and also tank items are being nerfed throughout all of them, which is good. I don't know if this is I said, damage I'm a bit worried about. This doesn't, show me damage specifically is getting nerfed, but we'll see how it goes, really. We'll go through them as promptly as we can. So yeah, the new champion Rel is here. That's all to really be said about that. Feel free to check out my videos on the champion if you want to have a little look. Amumu. Base mana growth decreased. E base damage decreased later. R stun duration decreased earlier, now scales. So this champion, he's been nerfed a lot already in preseason. And some people, I went on the Amumu main subreddit about a week ago just to see what they think. A lot of them are really sad about it. And I don't know, it's kind of weird because obviously every main or champion that people play, you're going to have a personal bias to, obviously. But you cannot deny Amumu is so strong right now. And I think what's happened is people are weirded out by it because it's been such a vast contrast. Pre-season or pre-preseason in Season 10, nobody thought about Amumu. It was known as a low-rating pick. Suddenly, he becomes the best champion in the game. It's because he has so good synergy with the new items. Like that is why. When Amumu Jungle had to be in the game before, you either had to go Cinderhulk or you had to go Runic Echo, be really squishy, or Cinderhulk was kind of a bit meh. Well, now you can go a pure mythic tank item, and then you can buy Demonic Embrace, and it's such a good synergy for him. So much damage for also being incredibly tanky. So they're having to nerf him. They're having to nerf him, one, because everyone knows he's strong, but the data is suggesting he's too strong. His win rate overall, and I've always said you can't balance purely off overall win rate, but if an overall win rate with also an insane pick rate, which he had, is high, well, that tells you the information. Or an insane ban rate is telling you people don't want it, it's too strong. So yeah, he definitely needs to be nerfed. The tantrum damage is going down, and the stun duration is starting lower, but ending at the same place. So that's Amumu. Anivia, champion I'm interested in. So we will make a video on this. So I won't go over this in incredible detail because I'll make a video about Anivia in the next week or so. But basic attack animation sped up. So that's lovely. Her attack animation was known to be one of the worst in the game. Q cooldown, missile speed, and detonation damage increased. Pass-through damage and cost decreased. And now chills enemies that passes through it. That's good. E, cost flattened and damage increased. R, cooldown now scales and base damage decreased, but it scales. So, Her space stats, bit changes there. The missile speed, though, the basic attack has gone up. So her last hitting might be a bit easier. The Q missile speed has gone up, so it's faster. And for the most part, I'd say what the problem with Anivia was sometimes is she was too slow. So modern champions in League are very fast. So they might be just modernizing her, which is lovely. So the Q, cooldown has gone up by level 1, but then it does get lower later into the game. The pass-through damage, though, has gone down, but the detonation damage has gone up, so you're getting rewarded more for the final Q. Like whenever you either repress Q or if it goes the distance and explodes, you're getting rewarded more for landing that than you used to. And the mana of it has also gone down, which is good. The E is now flat 40 mana. That's huge, by the way, because it used to be starting at 50 mana, going up to 90. It's now 40 at every rank. And the damage also has gone up. So the E is just a flat out buff, and that's wonderful. The Glacial Storm, which obviously is her bread and butter, and I think this is the biggest thing for Anivia. The cooldown of it used to be 6 seconds at all ranks. Obviously, you know, then also with cooldown reduction, but it's now 4, 2.1, and now 1 second cooldown. So just to say, why is this such a good thing? The base damage, by the way, has been nerfed because of this, but your Anivia, your ultimate is the big Glacial Storm that you put down, and it takes a couple seconds for it to kind of go big and then does the full damage. You're having a fight, big team fight, bam, I'm using my ult. And then everybody moves to the left, and you're like, oh, no one's in my ult now. What do I do? Do I leave it there, or do I wait 6 seconds or a few seconds for me to be able to reposition it? Now, you're going to reposition it. If it's a 1 second cooldown, which might be GCD, I don't know if you can go lower than a 1 second cooldown, because you could then be on the global cooldown, unless Anivia Ultimate is on global cooldown. But yeah, 1 second, you can then reposition it within a team fight. So that's a lot better for Anivia. So that's really good. I would definitely be playing her soon, because I miss playing her. Annie. E, bonus movement speed decreased. So they're just getting rid of some of the utility in the kit. Her damage is really good. One-shot potential is really good and has okay survivability with the shield. But they're reducing the movement speed itself. Echo buff is weirding me out. He is one of the... Honestly, in my recording sessions recently, he's one of the champions I cannot escape. Echo Jungle. I've even said, I'm going to start banning Echo now. He's in nearly every game. If you don't ban him, I'd probably put a pretty decent bet on that he's in the game. So why the hell is he getting a buff? Passive damage ratio to monsters increased and cap removed. So the passive damage is going up. Okay, so at least damage to champions isn't going up, which I still think Echo's damage is obnoxiously strong. And also, it's obnoxiously strong for being a safe champion, for being an assassin. I'm going all in. I one-shot somebody, a normal assassin. Now I'm dead. All right. But Echo, I'm going to press R, see you later. I don't know. I'm just not a massive fan of the champion. I think people know that. Fizz, base mana growth decreased. Whoa. Jeesh. So his mana growth used to be 57 per level. It's now 37. 20. He's going to be missing 20 mana per level. That's quite considerable. So that means Fizz won't be able to stay in lane as much because his mana pool is going to be less. So they're not nerfing his damage, which again is too high, but they're making it so Fizz in one big combo will kind of be and he'll be even more now because his mana pool is going to be a lot less. So that is a pretty big nerf, but I think his damage should have been touched. Next up, Agaragus. Don't really see Gragas at the moment. I do like the champion, but passive healing increased and W cooldown decreased. So the passive healing, whenever it uses an ability, etc., you get 8% max health every time, every few seconds you use an ability. And the cooldown over his W as well is 5 seconds instead of 6. I don't think that's going to bring him into the meta personally. I think he probably needed a little bit more than that, but we will see. Time will only tell. Irelia, base AD increase, Q cooldown decrease. So Irelia is a champion that I admit, I don't think she's as problematic as I sometimes let on. But she's one of my kryptonite champions. We all have them, probably. But there's just a champion that you're like, I just don't beat that champion. Irelia is that for me. And I think a lot of it, and I have admitted, is I am stuck sometimes in the old mindset of champions that have been reworked. So I'm stuck in the mindset of old Irelia, of she's so weak in the early game, but her late game is really strong. That isn't modern Irelia. A modern Irelia, her early game is actually pretty good. If she stacks her passive at level 2, she can just straight out murder you. Her late game isn't as good as it used to be. So I really have to get that in my mind, that Irelia is really strong early, really strong mid game, and not an absolute monster in late game. Is beatable late game on a lot of champions. So that's my main thing with Irelia, is myself. But attack damage has gone up by 2. And the Q cooldown is being buffed. Not the biggest buff in the world, I will say, because really good Aurelias basically only use Q when they'll get the auto reset. So this is a buff to not great Aurelias that miss their Q resets. So yeah. Ivan. Not seen this champion at all in preseason, I don't think. And to be honest, you never really see this champion. He must have one of the lowest pick rates in League of Legends, not surprisingly. He has such a weird, unique playstyle, a very support playstyle in the jungle that is not meta. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see him in the meta really anytime soon. But Q cooldown decreased, E cooldown decreased, shield increased, R basic attack damage increased. These look to be all buffs. So the cooldown has been buffed by 2 seconds. The cooldown has been buffed by 1 second, but a better ratio. So that's just a big buff. And the Daisy attack speed has been also buffed a little bit. So yeah, just straight up buffs to Ivan. Is it going to do anything? No. But this will be a smile to Ivan players. That's about it. Jhin. Crazy problematic champion right now. But you could argue, is it Jhin or is it collected Eclipse? You could argue that. Partially, some of it is probably Jhin. So they are nerfing his Q, and the minimum damage ratio for his Q was 45 up to 75% AD with leveling. They are nerfing it 10%. 10% AD ratio off his Q. That's an okay nerf, but, you know, people are, he'll still be strong. Later, we'll see what they're doing to Eclipse. Karthus. Q cost decrease later, damage ratio increase. So they are making it overall better for late game because they're making it mana cheaper and they're giving the 5% mana back. Here's the hilarious thing. They have done this Karthus change, I would say, 3 times. The same change practically. That 5% extra on his Q. They gave it to him, they took it away, and now they're giving it back. And they're giving it back because I guess since preseason he's not done as well. I honestly think it's probably not because of his damage. It's probably because the damage in the game has gone up and Karthus cannot survive. If a Graves or a Kha'Zix is invading you now with the current meta of the items, you're definitely dead as a Karthus. So I'd say that's probably more the problem, not that Karthus himself is not doing a lot of damage. I think he just can't scale quick enough because he's getting killed. But that's just me. Kayle. Another problematic champion in League, has already received nerfs. Her items have received nerfs, and now she's getting more nerfs. This is how strong these champions have truly been. Base magic resist decreased, and E passive damage ratio decreased also. So the magic resist has gone down by 4 for her base stats. Obviously, mid lane Kayle became popular because she doesn't get punished as much. Well, now with it being a little bit squishier to magic damage, mages can do a little bit more to her in early game. And the damage ratio of her passive, or her E, her damage ratio of the E auto, was 25% ability power. It's now 20%, a 5% ability power nerf. So that is an okay nerf, but I think we'll probably still see Kayle. Next up is Kane, one of the most broken champions in the game. I decided against uploading a video. I was recording recently and I got really annoyed. I played Gangplank mid, had a good game. We were winning the game. The enemy team had a Yuumi and a Kane jungle. The Kane was doing decent, but all 4 of the enemy team were doing bad apart from their Kane. Mid-game came about. The Yuumi just permanently attached to the Kane and he got a 1v5 pentakill, or a 1.5 pentakill because Yuumi was attached to him, and there was nothing we could do. The damage he did, the healing he did, and I don't think Yuumi made that big of a difference. I think he probably would have done it without Yuumi, to be honest. One of the most broken champions I've seen, I would actually say in League of Legends history, is Kane, what it has been since preseason has started. And by the way, I was warning this when we were doing preseason testing. on the PBE before preseason came about, we had a couple Kanes in our games, and it was a joke. You again couldn't kill him. He was one-shotting people, even in red form, and his healing was insane. So we actually said, right, guys, in our PBE matches, don't waste your ban on Kane because we all know he's broken, but nobody pick him. We banned people from playing Kane because it was that broken. And guess what? Riot did nothing to that champion until now, I think, practically. Riot don't pay attention to PBE. It's apparent. But anyway, armor for the champion has gone down by 3. That's not really going to do a lot. And the Reaping Slash, so nothing is going to change with Kane. Base damage has gone down by 10, and the cooldown of it has gone up by 1. So yeah, his Q's being nerfed a bit. Not his tankiness, not his healing, which I think are the more problematic things. But you'll still see Kane. Lee Sin. Base armor increased, W cooldown decreased, E base damage increased. You probably won't see much Lee Sin because he has much of the same problem as like Renekton. He is an early game champion that falls off. Versus Kane, Kha'Zix, and all these champions, he can't compete. He has a mediocre early game compared to them. They're stronger than you'd think in the early game, where that's supposed to be where Lee Sin is strong, and he falls off compared to them. So you probably won't see Lee Sin unless they give him some mid to late game scaling. They're not. So I don't think we're going to see Lee. Yes, they give him a bit more armor. Their cooldown on W is nice. Their base damage on E is a nice 20 damage buff. I don't think it's enough. And I love Lee Sin. He's my most played champion probably in League of Legends history. I don't think he'll be meta. But I might still play him. But yeah. Lulu, Q base damage decreased. Deals bonus damage to targets hit with both bolts and removed pass-through fall-off damage. Deals less damage to minions, though. Okay, so her base damage to her Q has gone down, but they're allowing... Basically, the more skilled you are with Lulu, this is actually potentially going to be better in the long run. So that's not bad. But I think a lot of us have, history with Lulu going, oh god, is it going to be a Lulu Twitch bot lane or something like that? But overall, not too bad. Mordekaiser... I don't think has been doing the best in preseason, which I know some people are kind of happy about, but the Q isolated enemy damage increased. So the isolate enemy damage, it was 20% up to 35%. It's now 30% up to 50%. That's a big buff. So if you just smack someone solo with your Q, it's doing bonus damage, which I'm going to be completely honest, I had no idea Mordekaiser Q did that. So we've all learnt something today. Anyway, Morgana. This is specifically apparently a mid lane buff to Morgana, nerf to Morgana, and their reasoning we saw earlier in the little thing if you looked at the key. It's a low rating nerf. Morgana is too strong in low rating. She's too safe and effective in lower ranks or average ranks. So Morgana's dot is making her too strong in a solo lane, especially as her opponents don't have the help of another body like in bot. So she can just max W, put it like Malzahar really, you put it on the mini wave, the mini wave's dead, the enemy mage can't clear it that fast like a Morgana can, and by then Morgana's half the way down to bot lane and doing a gank. So the base damage has gone, it was 20 up to 60 damage per second, it's now 20 to 52. So a little nerf, not crazy. And it's also based on champions missing health. That hasn't been said if that's being... Well, oh, it's based on champions missing health. Okay. So the execute damage of it is not as much. Because obviously they made the W do more damage the lower health you are. It's an execute. So they're nerfing that a little bit. So it'll probably still be fine. But yeah, her mid lane prowess will be a little bit lower. But her support will be completely fine. Nasus, Q cooldown decrease. That's quite a big deal for the dog because the more he can Q, the more he can farm and stack up his Q, the quicker he can get to actually his mid to late game. The cooldown of it, though, used to be 8 seconds down to 4. It's now 7.5 down to 3.5. So a 0.5 second buff. Again, that might not seem like a lot, but in 1 minute, that adds up to a bit of time. That's a few more Qs every minute, a few more stacks every minute, and suddenly a quicker scaling Nasus. Nidalee, Q cost decreased later, damage increased later, and E cost decreased. Javelin toss, the mana has gone down, the minimum damage has gone up, and the maximum damage has gone up. So that's overall buffs for her Q. And the E has gone mana down. So overall buffs to Nidalee. Very high risk, high reward champion. But is relatively skill based, I would say. Because again, high risk, high reward. Pantheon. So for the most part, I think they are, again, realigning Pantheon to better support the various roles he's been taking on the Rift. People prefer Pantheon support. But I think a lot of Pantheon players are crying out to Riot going, dude, he's a solo laner. Why is he a support? People who play Set could probably say the same thing. But as I've said, I actually like Pantheon support because he feels different. But anyway, TLDR, we're not going to go through all of this, but we're shifting more power into the Bruisery playstyle by giving him a higher uptime on his Q and equipping him with more selfish outputs like armor penetration, the cost of utility, strong invulnerability, so he can't just tank bot lane easily, but he'll dealing more damage. They're getting rid of some of his slows as well, and more importantly, a massive movement speed boost for when he crashes onto the scene. That's pretty good, because so many times you see a Pantheon land, and then you just walk away from him. So if they're actually going to give him, and that's kind of the big thing I'm interested in, Pantheon games armor pen for his ultimate. So 10% just by having his ultimate, and then up to 30% in rank 3. So when the spear that lands before Pantheon now slows for 50% and applies spear's worth damage unempowered to a small area around it, that's pretty good. And then also is grants Starfall's ground indicator now appears for both Pantheon's allies at the start of the channel. Wait, where's the movement speed? Am I missing something? And a massive movement speed boost when he crashes onto the scene. Well, that's his ultimate. I mean, they're nerfing his base movement speed, by the way. Where's the... Oh, here. When Pantheon slams his shield, he consumes Mortal Will stacks to gain 60% movement speed for 1.5 seconds. But that's his E. That's not his ultimate. Okay. Well, we might see more Pantheon in top, but I kind of doubt it because he still falls off, and I don't think you can play falling off top laners anymore because you're just going to get massively punished. Samira. Right. Are they doing... Oh my god, are they doing it? I said literally... What did I say? This champion will be broken unless they change the passive. Why does an AD carry have a CC extension? Nobody knows. So, what are they doing? Knocking around the Christmas tree. Instead of knocking up immobilized enemies, Samira now keeps already knocked up enemies in the air for at least 0.5 seconds. Samira can dash into range for a basic attack against immobilized enemies. So I believe this this has been changed, and again the wording may need to be, you know, it might need to be confirmed or clarified, but I think it used to be a 1 second CC extension, and that was a CC extension. Any type of CC, she could click on them, raise them up into the air, and it would keep them there for 1 more second. Now, it only seems that she can do this to knocked up enemies, right? Not CC'd. So if a Leona is with Samira, Leona presses Q, I don't think Samira passive works anymore. It only works if Alistair presses Q. That's a knock-up. Therefore, Samira can keep that target in the air for a 0.5 second extension. So it's gone down by a 0.5, and also it only works on knock-ups. So that, by the way, has greatly limited, and I think this, by the way, is needed. I would say she still needs this ability gone. I think it's still stupid, but it's going to make it way less oppressive. Like, Leona Samira was insane, but now you'll probably only see, really... Alistair Samira, Rakan Samira, because these are knockups. So interesting, at least. And by the way, they're adding though, Samira can still dash and do an attack against an immobilized champion. So that part of it is still there, but she just can't extend the CC against any type of immobilization. So that's something. The Q, the crit lifesteal effectiveness, and what were the two things? Oh my god, were Riot listening to me? I doubt it, but I said that the passive needs to be changed or removed, and the lifesteal, I said specifically with the ultimate needs to be removed. They're not removing it, but the crit lifesteal effectiveness for her Q has gone down. It was 100%, it's now 66%. And also her ultimate. Crit lifesteal effectiveness was 100%, now down 66. So the two things I said they needed to try and get on top of with Samira, the passive and the lifestealing, that's what they're doing. Is it enough? Yeah. I think she's still going to be strong, but I think it's a step in the right direction. But as I've always said, Riot keep releasing champions that you just piece by piece need to keep taking away stuff from their kits. That ain't healthy, because it paints an image that Samira, for the rest of the time that she's a League of Legends champion, there will be people out there that have the launch Samira in their head and they can't get rid of it. The image of, God, she's so obnoxious, she's so overpowered. People are going to think that all the time now. So I don't think it's a good idea when Riot literally just does all these overloaded kits. I don't think it's healthy. But they keep doing it. Seraphine, so again, they are trying to move this champion into mid lane. They are trying to force this champion to be a mid laner, even though it does seem the community as a whole. And again, I've had people in the comment section, apologies, you're in the minority if you think she's a mid laner. Her pick rates say otherwise. She has a 75 to 80% pick rate in support and a 20 to 25% pick rate in mid. The community, because I saw someone go, oh, only YouTubers think that she's a support. No, there's only what, maybe 100, 200 League YouTubers at max. There's millions of people. There's thousands of people that play Samira, and the majority of those people are playing her support. So Seraphine is currently feeling a lot of the weakness against more aggressive opponents, Zed, Fizz, Akali, etc. in mid lane, so we're driving players away. So it's driving players away from playing there. I don't think that's the reason, to be honest. I think her damage is very lackluster, and her W feels like a support ability. We're giving her a little bit more durability so she can survive longer in one verse. This is not going to turn her into a mid laner. I can tell you right now this isn't going to turn her into a mid laner. Health growth, she's getting a bit more health per level, and also Seraphine's personal shield is increased by 50%. That's it. She's still a support. I'm sorry. She still is. Her damage isn't very high. I have been fed on that champion and been like, where's my damage? Her utility is way better on this champion. Her ultimate is a better version than Sonar ultimate, and it's really good. And then you ultimate into a double E with your passive. That's a great combo. Doesn't do any damage, but it's really good utility to set up your team. If you have a Victor in mid lane, the combination with Seraphine support Victor mid is a wonderful combo. But yeah, I don't think she's a mid. Shyvana. I just did Shyvana passive on non-SR game modes like ARAM and Nexus Blitz. So it's an ARAM and Nexus Blitz. We don't need to pay attention to that. Talia, subsequent Qs no longer deal reduced damage to monsters. That's a big change for Talia Jungle. I've seen apparently on Reddit a couple times even this week. Talia mains going, please Riot, don't forget about us. So Talia Jungle is the... I think the main role really for Talia, even though she's a mage. So that's going to help her jungle clear for sure. Whether it's going to bring her into the forefront of the jungling, I don't think so. Again, we've mentioned already, when you have Kha'Zix and Graves that do an obscene amount of damage instantly, I don't think Talia can cope with that. She just is going to get killed. So there's that. Q for Twitch has been increased. Attack speed slow has been increased, and the R bonus damage increased for Twitch. Both AD and AP Twitch are significantly underperforming. See, that to me is wonderful. I think to many people in the League community, that's wonderful. But anyway, I suppose Riot's aim is to make every champion viable. The Q attack speed buff by 10%. The W slow by 5%. And the spray and pray attack damage bonus, he's getting 5... Oh, it's actually scaling. 5 attack damage at rank 1, 10 attack damage at rank 2, and 15 attack damage buff at rank 3. He's getting 55 bonus attack damage at level 16 with using his ult. It's not bad. Again, I don't mind Twitch. It's just I hate Twitch jungle. I've said it forever. Like, I play what you want. Don't mind little old Huz here. You know, ignore me if you love Twitch jungle. I just hate it. Like, for me, people that play Twitch jungle have just kind of given up with being good at the game. That's what it feels like to me. And I've tried to and get past that, like, feeling. I can't. I really can't. But Twitch AD carry, go for it. Play Twitch AD carry. Play AP Twitch support. I've seen that's a thing nowadays. There is just something about Twitch jungle that really rubs me the wrong way. And I don't know what it is. Yasuo, base attack speed growth increase, so they're giving him an extra 1% attack speed growth. I honestly think Yasuo isn't that bad, and I might make enemies saying that, but I've seen Yasuo. It's Yasuo. Most Yasuos feed, let's be honest. But then I've seen some, like, when it's a good Yasuo, it's a fantastic Yasuo. That's the thing. He's one of the biggest champions of that. I'd say the biggest divide between the players in the same champion is probably Yasuo. You get god-awful Yasuos in every single rating in the game, but you also get literal gods at the champion. And you're like, Jesus Christ. They've still been doing fine, like the actual gods of the champion, but they're buffing him. And then Yone, they're doing the same thing. So I will say, I do kind of find it funny that those champions are so similar that they get the same buffs and stuff all the time. It is funny to me. I don't know why. I've got hiccups. Apologies. God, why right now? Rengar. W healing for monsters increased and now deals bonus damage to monsters. See, of all champions like assassin-y stuff like Rek'Sai and all them, Kane, bruisery assassin champions, I actually haven't seen that much Rengar. So this might be why. Maybe he needed a bit more love in the jungle. So he's now dealing 100% of his damage he's taken from monsters. Will go into his W heal. And his W also deals more damage to monsters. Actually, he never used to. It's new. So that's good. That'll help Rengar quite a bit. Maybe we'll play him. Warwick, passive bonus damage increase and tooltip updated to reflect accuracy. So the bonus damage of his passive was 10 to 44. It's now 12 to 46 with 15% bonus AD and 10% AP. So overall, pretty good for Warwick. Talon. For me, Talon's always been on the outside of the strong AD assassins. Like Zed has always taken priority over him. Kiana's always taken priority over him. I don't know why. He's still quite good, but the rake return damage, so when you press W, it goes out and it comes back. This is a buff specifically to the return. It does more damage later into the game. Starting at rank 2, it does 5 extra damage, and by rank 5, it's doing 20 extra damage. So a little buff. So that's that. Wukong. I think that's a champion that hasn't done too well in preseason. E now deals more damage to monsters, so maybe they're shifting him away from Wukong jungle. From Wukong top, they're making him a jungler, maybe. But the E is doing 50% more damage or bonus damage to monsters. So that's something. Items now. So collector. So they are nerfing it. All enemy targets except epic monsters and turrets used to give you the collector execute and tax bonus. It's now only enemy champions. That is specifically, I'd say, a nerf to Graves. Mirror Mana used to procs on all abilities and basic attacks. It now procs on abilities that deal physical damage and basic attacks. So that is specifically a nerf that I didn't play it myself, but mages were building Mirror Mana. It was actually better than Seraphs. But they are now getting rid of that because it's only physical damage abilities and auto attacks, so no longer all abilities. So that's gone. Ginsu's Rage Blade now converts your crit chance to auto damage, leaving you with 0 crit chance. Zeke's Convergence, the health has gone down, the armor's gone down, the mark duration's gone up by double, and the bonus damage has gone up. So it's making it a little bit less tanky for the person that's buying it, but making the actual use of it a little bit better. The ability power for Seeker's Arm Guard, the component for Zhonya's, has been nerfed. 20 ability power. So some mages, especially against AD matchups, would buy that before their mythic item. That might make the difference to not do that, because it's pretty cheap for the stats that it gave. The jungle items, basic attacks no longer grant 1 tick of damage. Same for both of them. Support items, they're just doing some stuff with the gold, so making it cheaper, making it more expensive. Ardent is changing its item build, actually. So it used to be Forbidden Idol and a Blasting Wand with 650 gold. It's now Forbidden Idol, 2 Amp Tomes, and 630 gold. Why are they doing that? It's probably a lot of gold for a support to get to a Blasting Wand. You know, little power spikes, interval power spikes. You can get 450 gold, I think, for an Amp Tome. A lot easier, you can say, for 850. So it's just kind of allowing supports to kind of at least feel a bit more useful with just going back and buying an Amp Tome instead of having to save so much more. Staff of the Flowing Water, again, reflecting the same thing. Imperial Mandate. So here's the thing. Imperial Mandate, has become a lot more popular in mid lane with certain champions, Aurelion Soul, Ari, and stuff like that. That might not go away, possibly. We'll see. It's been it's cheaper, so it's 2,500 gold, not 2,700. But the damage has gone down considerably. It used to be 60 to 100 damage, now 36 to 60 damage. So the minimum damage it used to do is now the maximum. So that might make it okay still for supports, but worse for mid laners. But because also supports, it gives allied damage bonus increases too. And that has now been heavily buffed. So yeah, this is Riot basically kind of making it not a mid lane anymore item and making it more about a support buying it. Moonstone has been much of the same, making it stronger and cheaper. Also, my screen is about to turn orange because it just turned 8:30 at night. Let me turn that off. Thank you. Shirelia's Battle Song has been made cheaper, and the Inspire bonus damage has been nerfed, but it is obviously cheaper. Crit Strike items, they're all being changed. There's a very long patch, by the way. Gale Force, buff. Typhoon, buff. Essence Reaver, buff. Zeal is cheaper, so buff. Rapid Fire Cannon is cheaper, so buff. Phantom Dancer the same. Mortal Reminder, it's more expensive, but it gives more attack damage, so kind of a buff. Lord Dominic's, it's a buff by 5. Infinity Edge no longer grants critical strike damage scaling with crit strike chance, but instead it now gives, if you have at least 60% crit strike chance, Infinity Edge now grants 35% crit strike chance, which in essence is if you get 3 crit items with then Infinity Edge, because you'll get 3 items will give, because I think they give 20% each now, that will give you 60%, then you'll get Infinity Edge, and then that will technically give you 95%, but all the crit champions buy, I think, a mythic item that gives the crit bonus, so with that you'll get to 100% crit. Mana mythics are being Luden's ability haste is being buffed, and the mana magic penetration is going down, and Everfrost, the ability haste, is going up, so kind of balance changes for those items, but a buff to Everfrost. Lethality for mythics, new for Drakthar. Night Stalker's on hit slow, now only applied with melee basic attacks, so range champions like Misfortune, I think I've seen buy a Drakthar, weirdly, cannot buy this item anymore, really. And also Eclipse, Ever Rising Moon Shield for ranged, used to be 100 base plus 30 a bonus AD, it's now 70 base and 20 bonus AD, so it's making you a bit squishier than it used to for ranged champions, but still does a lot of damage. Jhin will still probably do the Eclipse build, so there's that. Tank items, Bammies is more expensive. The health of Sunfire has gone down by 100. The Frostfield range for Gauntlet's gone down a little bit. And the Mythic increased size was 7.5. It's now 6%. And reminder that Immolate and Snowballs affect ranges also scale with your champion's size. So yeah, this remember that buying a tank item actually makes your champion a bit bigger. Turbo Chem Tank, also the supercharged slow duration has gone down by 0.5 second. The item shop is being changed a little bit. We're not going to go through them right now. Feel free to do it yourself. But they're constantly trying to make the shop better. I don't think the new shop is great, but I think it's mainly because we've been so used to the other shop for 10 years that it's just very weird. You know, it's very weird. But I'm sure they'll probably get it. In-game chat updates. Font size decrease, chat widened, and that's kind of what we were asking for. Nexus Blitz is coming back, everybody. Ranked update. Initial placement configuration. The ranked reset at the start of the season will be smaller this year to get players back to their expected rank faster. To compensate LP gains, the losses have been made slightly smaller. Well, they're pretty bad at the moment, but anyway. And unified rank decay. Diamond now uses the same banked game decay. What? Wait, really? Oh my god. Diamond now uses the banked game decay system as Master Plus, though with more relaxing tuning. So wow, really? I'm surprised. Each game banks a day up to 10 days. So this was a Master, etc. After 10 days of inactivity, you begin consuming the bank days, and after the bank days, you'll lose 250 LP a day. Diamond now, each game played banks 7 days of activity up to 28 days. Okay, this isn't too much different. After 28 days of activity, you'll begin consuming your bank days. The initial grace period is skipped if you decayed into Diamond from Master. Once all the bank days are consumed, you'll lose 50 LP a day since you move out to Diamond. Okay, I was going to say, Diamond to me is still a very, very good rank, but it's the rank that's just before, if you're really tryharding in League, then it's kind of Master. Like when I've tryharded, I got Master that time, but I always sit in Diamond usually, which is still a very nice rank. So for me, I was a bit worried about this because, like, you know, Diamond is the rank that good players who aren't insane kind of all are. And I don't like the banking system because you kind of start to feel like a prisoner to the game. You know, there are probably Master plus players out there that are like, you know, oh, I can't go on a 2-week holiday because if I go on a 2-week vacation, it will consume 10 of my bank days. I'm going to go down 1,000 LP. That's insane. Like, I definitely know, by the way, and it got leaked a little while ago, when Challenger players have gone on holiday, they do get a friend to play on their account for 1 day or whatever, because it is insane how much they lose. And again, you can't be a prisoner to the game. But losing that amount does suck. So yeah, like, I don't know, like, it's okay because let's be honest, I'm mainly a Diamond player. I am going to be tryharding in the upcoming season, but I probably could see myself getting back to Master. Will I always be Master? Probably not. Maybe I'll be a Diamond 1 most of the time and then be in Master occasionally. So for me, that's not too bad, but again, I don't like these type of systems because they are the type of systems that are trying to make you a prisoner to the game. I don't like that. 2021 token, you can get a token refund if you've not. Bug fixes, again, make sure you check if you're a Nami player or any champion you play. Make sure you're looking through this list. Quite a lot of them. And we have all the new skins. So Battle Queen Katarina, everybody is raving about that skin, by the way. Diana, Kiana, Janna, and Rel. Elderwood, Rakan and Zaya. Ivan, Azir, Ornn, with then also Battle Queen Diana Prestige. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Also, there's a chroma randomly for KD8 All-Out Kaiser. There is the patch. Really big patch. Not surprising, though, because they have a lot to change. You know, preseason has been, I would say, a little bit messy. I still think the damage in the game is going to be too high. I don't think they've addressed that, really. And it's kind of League of one-shots. But anyway, that is going to be it. Let me know your opinion down below. I am very interested to know what you guys think. Is there anything missing? Are you wishing that something wasn't changed and it was? Let me know. And please do throw a like on the video, especially if you made it here to the end. Throw a comment what you think, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.